Welcome to Inside Design with Kandrak and Cole, hosted by two nationally published Atlanta interior designers, Joanne Kandrak and Kelly Cole. These energetic women are also world travelers, charity givers, and bloggers with a wealth of information to share and stories to tell about the interior design world. Okay, now just a warning, this is going to be fun and not too serious. After all, they still do have an interior design business running at full speed.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. This is episode 92 of Inside Design with Kandrak and Cole, and today we are talking about the Highpoint Market 2020 trends that we saw because we were two of the brave few who attended the Highpoint Furniture Market this fall. So because of this, we had many peers as well as industry fans watching our every move, anxious for all the news about the trends. So in case you missed many of our social media postings, we wanted to bring you the trends right here on the podcast. We have to give a huge shout out before we go to the entire Highpoint Market team of showrooms and employees, sales reps, everybody. That place was acres and acres of clean, and strict COVID protocol was everywhere. We felt very safe and at peace with being there. While the streets were empty, there was only about 30% attendance and 70% of the showrooms open. We had pre-scheduled about 20 appointments that all proved to be very fruitful. So we're really glad we went.
Yeah, there's a lot of good info that we're going to be giving you. But before we dig in, we want to let you know that this episode is sponsored by the talented folks at Helzer Brothers Hardware. If you're on the hunt for artisan quality, handcrafted, custom window treatment hardware, this is the hardware line for you. Check out Helzer Brothers, HelzerBrothers.com. We want to bring your attention to their HB Now quick ship program for products that ship within 24 hours. This is something we can all appreciate right now. And this is something that we have been finding in our business is that product is not as available as it used to be. And it's all across the board. So I guess first we'll talk about the furniture styles that we saw. And it's funny because we talk about this, you know, every time we go to Highpoint, like what is it going to be? Because there's always a few things that you see repeated in different showrooms and you wonder, like, did they talk to each other? How can this place have this and this place have, like, how did they do this? Actually, we're going to have to ask one of these times. But anyway, Cal, go ahead. You can start with some of the furniture styles that we saw.
So one thing that was really prevalent, and all of these trends were really prevalent, was the low profiles, kind of a more European style. So not the big, bulky Archie Bunker rolled arms, you know, be 6'3" and lay your head way back kind of furniture. So when you think European style, maybe you think of track arms, which is one thing we saw where the arms were very flat and square, and sometimes they went all the way around the back of the sofa and they were hard so you can sit on them. So a great kind of sofa if it's floating in the middle of a room where people literally can sit on the back of the sofa and it be perfectly fine. So we saw a lot of that.
Yes. And then higher back cushions. The cushions seem to be like thicker, puffier. I don't know, but the sofas look really different. Now we're talking about those, but then there were also a lot of curved sofas. So the sofas are kind of all over the board, but those two seem to really stand out. And then the French seam type top stitch, blank stitch. This is not something that maybe not all people know. When we talk about welting, that's like that little, I don't know what else to call it. It's a welt and it goes around the cushions. And a lot of times there might be a contrast to it, whatever. But what happens sometimes is over time, that welt gets a little wavy and kind of just doesn't give the sofa a sleek look. So either go ahead and Google like French seam or top stitch, blanket stitch. It
baseball stitch is another one.
Yes, it doesn't stick away from the cushion. It's a pretty stitch.
It's flat. It's on top, but they're super pretty. And when we were at Norwalk Furniture, they had a lot of the stitching in contrast thread colors. That was so cool. So even something simple as an ivory, say, sofa with a navy blue top stitch or a baseball stitch where the stitch is on either side of the seam, so it's kind of a double stitch.
Yeah.
Looks so cool.
Yeah, very different and unique.
The other thing that we saw, and this was over and over again, and again, you wonder, like, did these people talk? Like, because if you think, so the manufacturers, they start working on their next product line as soon as the spring market, say, for example, finishes, they're already in production, maybe even from the year before for the next production. So the fact that you see a trend over and over again is always crazy to me. But we saw a lot where it's hard to explain, but okay, if you're looking at a table and you're looking at the legs, about 2/3 of the way down the leg gets skinnier and kind of angles in at a diagonal. Am I saying that right? So kind of tapered, but higher up.
Yeah, and it was on consoles and
chests, and we just saw it everywhere. It was crazy.
Yeah. The other thing were sectionals. Getting back to the sofas, the sectionals, they had like these connecting end tables, like in the corners. So they would be armless. So if you're sitting at that corner, you put your drink down on that table right there, and it just, I don't know what it is. I think people are cuddling more or together more, but I saw more sectionals than I can ever remember at a Highpoint Market.
It's very mod. Like, my family would never want that because it's always a fight for who gets the corner.
Yeah.
But it's cool though. Like, the table in the corner is the same height as the seat. So literally it's a continuing piece, but it's wood or glass or laminate or stone versus a cushion. But again, it goes back to that low profile, armless, kind of floating in the middle look. Very urban, very modern. And it was everywhere.
Yeah, and when you have that type, that's the kind where you can put like a chase on the ends. Because if someone wants to really lay, if they don't want to use a ottoman, having the chase, we've done like 3 of those just in the last few months of people wanting the sectional with the chase.
Tons. So you can, and what's nice is, so for example, we're doing a house in downtown Atlanta that's very urban modern. The living space is actually quite small. So we chose from, I originally had selected from Vanguard. I'm looking at Bernhardt. We're looking at both, but a love seat with a chase connected. So at the end, so the entire width of it became 96. And so still nice piece, but it wasn't, I didn't have to do the whole sofa connected to the chase. So it wasn't so big because I just didn't have all that room. But a lot of those chases, I think people just, they want to lay down, feet up completely. I'd fight for that.
Oh, yeah.
I'd fight for that seat.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And then a lot of no hardware on some of the case goods. This is, again, a nod to that European style. Either that or exaggerated hardware. So
we saw both.
Yeah.
I think we saw more no hardware than we saw exaggerated hardware, would you say? Just all hidden. You can still open, obviously, all your drawers and doors, but the hardware is concealed very, very nicely for a really sleek and modern look. And I want to go back one quick second to the angles and the curvilinear trend that you were talking about. We saw that not only in the curved sofas, but in chairs too. Tub chairs. A lot of tub chairs, just a lot of round, we've lived with straight lines for years now. And so these curves are all coming in that you're seeing. I think because you're going to see design, it's slowly turning towards a little more traditional, and it starts with those curves.
And if you do have a sectional in a room, which takes up a lot of space, but you still want other seating, those tub chairs are a little bit smaller, so you can fit them into that room. That
the
might
scale
be tight.
of them is really nice.
Yeah,
and drink tables.
Oh my God, I love drink tables. They're so fun. They're if you just don't have room to put a big table in between 2 chairs, a lot of times we'll just put a little drink table on either side for each person to have their own little drink table.
I don't think that people think of that. I think they think of like end tables, coffee table, I'm done.
Yeah.
But now when I see a chair with nothing beside it, it looks so lonely. A little drink table, and they make them 8-9 inches around. They're just tiny, but everybody has a drink or a phone or an iPad to put down, and
they're usually very interesting.
Yes,
and they have a
lot of character.
Yeah, it's a great way to.
So lots of furniture styles, which was interesting. It's not always furniture styles that jump out at us. It could be anything from colors to fabrics to concepts, but it was very predominant.
But there's such a mix too in the finishes.
Yeah.
There's wood, there's light finishes, there's the cerused, which is that
cerused wood with so much personality.
Yeah, it's really almost kind of like fashion. Like you can almost wear anything these days.
So finishes and colors, we saw quite a variety as well. One that popped out that we saw a lot were kind of dry finishes. So matte, not a lot of shiny.
No.
Matte finishes, rubs, kind of like a contemporary distress, not heavy distress, but just a texture in the finish.
And a lot of like the matte, the honed kind of stuff. And for all of those people that still can't handle it, and antique brass is still in.
You got to accept it, baby.
It's not the shiny polish, it's that burnished whatever, but it was still everywhere.
It was.
And it looks good when it's the right, when it's the updated
I
nice
still
version.
think it's better done in lighting. I think plumbing fixtures still aren't quite there. Hardware's getting much better and for cabinets and so forth.
What's tricky about plumbing, though, is if you're going to decide to go brass in a bathroom, let's say, you've got your light fixture, and you can switch it up. If you're doing black, that would be okay.
Mix the metals.
But if you're not mixing, you got your light fixture that's a certain type of brass. The lighting people don't sell the hardware. So you have a faucet that's going to be a little bit of a different shade, and then you've got the hardware, like a top knops or something. They don't sell lighting or plumbing fixtures. So it's kind of hard to get that to all go together. It's almost like you need to mix them.
You got to mix them and just don't stress out.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world.
And then I'm so happy because I set this trend, years ago. I was way ahead of the curve on this. It's black and white. Oh my God. It's everywhere.
We saw it in... Well, first of all, Tebow's showroom. We talk about Tebow all the time. Their wallpaper, the wallpaper that we use so much. Their showroom. Oh my gosh, Joanne put a vignette from their showroom on our Instagram wall, so you have to go look at it. But the wallpaper, oh my God, I'm like, where can I put this in my house? I'm going to re-wallpaper my laundry room or something. It was so great.
Yeah, their showroom is extremely colorful. They had a lot of the yellows, which we saw a lot of yellow.
Yes,
which
a lot of yellow.
Kind of happy to say because it's kind of
happy.
Yeah, it's one of those colors. And the greens, once again, too. Like I felt like there was more green, other than the black and white, more green in more showrooms than I ever remember.
And wouldn't you say that the greens are going more olive?
Yes.
Which I never thought I'd say.
Kelly and I were driving in East Atlanta, and there was this building, this neighborhood where they were, all white, pretty roofs, and then every single door was a different color as you're driving along. So there was a beautiful navy. There was like a coral. There was yellow. And then there was this this sagey green. And I just can't forget about that color. Like and then the next thing you know, I saw it in. I was looking at House Beautiful, a couple of magazines, and I saw it. It was in Highpoint. So it's the thing that's great about being able to listen to this podcast is what we saw is this stuff you're not going to really see for about 6 months. So we kind of get a real peek into what's coming in the future.
But now that we're telling you this, you're going to keep your eyes open, and you'll start to see it trickle in. And it's funny, like olive green, moss green, it is not my gig. I don't know. It seems depressing to me. I don't like it. But when we were driving past this community, it was very small and it was kind of craftsman farmhouse, super cool with, like she said, all white. I think it was board and batten or something and cute porches. And the developer had obviously done this purposely with all the doors being a different color, and it was so cool. And maybe it was up against the white house with the black modern house numbers and the black hardware on the doors, and it was so crisp, and I'm obsessed.
I think I might have talked about, I painted my house white and I've got the black shutters and it's all black and white, and then the door, because I was afraid to ask my homeowners, I kind of wanted to do it pink. And now, after seeing that green, it can't be too dark of a green. I think I'm going to do it. I think I could probably get away without even asking. So,
And what were you thinking? Sherwin-Williams Oak Moss, but lightened a smidge?
it was, we saw it in HGTV magazine. It might have been Ben Moore.
Okay.
I don't ever usually want to cheat on Sherwin-Williams, but I looked at it and it was a little bit darker. So I need to go a little lighter so it doesn't, yeah.
And I will say, though, the neutrals are still strong. Lots and lots of neutrals. And what made the neutrals so great, of course, they're paired with black. I'm obsessed. And I truly, if this trend wanes, I'll be so sad. And it will. But I'm just going to keep it alive for myself because I've just found my thing. Like linens and whites and creams and a little bit of gray mixed with matte black to me is just so soothing. And you can add pops of color when you feel like it.
It's just sophisticated. Well, I will say the neutrals that we saw in Highpoint, when we're going to talk about fabrics, another one, this was every single. So Sherpa, the blankets that have that, scrumptious,
kind of woolly,
soft, woolly,
but soft, yeah.
In chair, like every showroom had at least one or two chairs that were in that. How you clean that, I don't really know. It all looks great. And then there was that boucle, which is kind of the same, but a little bit tighter. All throughout every showroom. It was.
I was just looking at doing a chair with Vanguard and I can't remember the name of it, but it was a definite kind of very, very heavy. I was going to say boucle, but I could probably call it more Sherpa. Kind of like, like my golden doodle, my labradoodle has like curly, soft, thick hair, but very short. That's kind of like what this is. And it was, I believe it was 100% polyester. Again, and it was water solvent, cleanable, but tricky. But I'd still do it, still do it. But we saw the boucle, and it first caught my attention when we walked into Row Furniture, and in their lobby was this huge ottoman, which, by the way, we saw a lot of big, just very simple rectangular ottomans. Put them anywhere. End of a bed, coffee table, foyer, wherever. And it was in this plaid boucle. And by boucle, I mean it's very textured. It's kind of a high-low texture, and it's got a lot of softness to it. And it was in rust, which is a color I do not like, but it was mixed with blush pink and a little bit of chartreuse, and I thought I was going to die. It was so pretty in this checkered plaid. Oh my gosh. And so it caught my attention, and then we saw it many other times, right?
Yes. It just was
crazy.
Okay. Probably the biggest thing that we saw that I completely love, and it can be so different, and it's just great in any kind of a room, is the rattan.
Oh,
natural fiber stuff. Oh my God. In lighting, in furniture, headboards were out of this stuff. Chairs that were incredible. A company we found this year called Red Egg had the most amazing pieces, very detailed, little more upscale than, probably what you'd see at, Pier 1 or somewhere. That's made in
Bali, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, she's going to kill us if we get that wrong.
No.
You have to go to their website, Red Egg. I think it's redeggfurniture.com or just Google Red Egg Furniture. Her showroom is in her home, and she lives upstairs, and her showroom is in the bottom. And I was in my happy place. First of all, there was a cat at the front door, and so I was so happy. But everything from, like Joanne said, headboards to tables to light fixtures and it was mixed with macrame on the walls and all these textured great fabrics, and
plus she has a whole swatch of all of these pieces can be done in colors.
I can't wait to put that in a client house, even if it's just a singular gorgeous chair.
Yeah, this is not the scrumptious stuff that you're going to watch TV in. This is like, a chair that, you could use as dining chairs, but also in a corner or somewhere with a cushion.
Desk chair.
Yeah.
It was a fave for me. Definitely. But we did see it everywhere. And I think I'm really liking it in lighting the most. A lot of like woven, if you imagine if you just took like a super cool basket and hung it upside down and hung it over a table. But what I find interesting, and Red Egg is a perfect example, and we also saw this at Curry, when it's finely woven, it's not like big, thick, clunky rattan. It's finely woven, and especially at Red Egg, the designs that they can masterfully make out of these vines and all this rattan is pure craftsmanship.
There's a lot of difference in the quality.
For sure. There's a lot of knockoffs, and you can just tell.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to figure out where to put that in my house. It's not for outdoor anymore. Just look at it that way.
Pendants over an island. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So great.
Absolutely. So what other... I'm trying to think what other showrooms we want to shout out to.
Gabby.
Oh, yes. Gabby Home. For all you designers out there that didn't make Highpoint, Gabby has a new building.
Yes. And they took over an upholstery company.
My brain has left me.
Strathmore. I can't remember. But the building is so cool. It's one of the older buildings in Highpoint. The upholstery company that was there, it had gotten really dated, and so but there was a lot of brick, so they bashed through and put the beautiful like iron black windows, and so the showroom gets a lot of light. They have a lot of new product, and their product is really readily available because there are a lot that are having trouble, and depending on where they're being manufactured. So luckily their stuff is pretty much.
I have to give a shout out to them that they are doing a good job with that. And Vanguard, I want to give a shout out to them. They are doing a really good job with lead times right now. If a fabric and a frame is in stock, you're looking at 4 weeks, which is unheard of.
Even not COVID related at all. 4 weeks is amazing.
Yes. So, and everybody's struggling right now with lead times. So, we would never usually tolerate 10 to 12 week lead times for something that's, not like, super uber special coming from Europe or something, but it's just regular old, sofas and stuff coming from even North Carolina. Yeah. But it is what it is. The factory shut down for quite a long time. And then when they opened, our industry was going bananas and all these orders came in. And so they're working and trying to socially distance at the same time. So it's tough.
Well, what was kind of funny is when Kelly and I first got there, we were able to park right where our appointment was, which never happens. We usually, oh my God, we usually have to park and take, shuttles and whatever. But we got out and we're on the street and we're looking, and there was not a car and not a person to be seen. It was so scary, like bizarre, scary.
It was like apocalypse. It was weird.
But so as the days kind of went on, we were thinking, oh my God, I feel so sorry for these manufacturers that have come and set up. I mean, it costs money to exhibit, but everybody that we talked to said, yeah, the attendance is low, but we are busy.
Well, it's kind of like when you're a small store and it's pouring rain and a customer comes in, they're gonna buy something because they're there for a reason. And so I think everybody that was there with the intention of really sourcing and buying and they seem to be all in good spirits.
Yeah.
The showrooms themselves were fairly busy, I would say.
The streets weren't busy.
Streets were empty.
Highpoint's huge. It's acres and acres and acres. So it's very spread out. So at least people were in places, but there weren't people all over the streets and all over the place. We really got great treatment, I will say, because we had more time to talk to our rep and more time to look at things and we really stayed on schedule because there were places, if you didn't have an appointment, you were not going. So
normally, we're in the streets and we run into friends about every 12 steps. We run into friends and we start chatting, and then the bar carts roll out at 2:00, and then we start drinking, and then but none of that was happening this time. So we were very productive.
Yeah, and we decided to go because we had not gone last year in the fall because we went to Round Top, Texas, which was something we'd been wanting to do. And then we were planning to go in the spring, and then it got canceled. And it was like, well, we kind of went back and forth, and we knew about all the safety measures that they had in place. And, we had asked around, and it didn't seem like a lot of people were going. We were like, okay, let's just do this. We'll, there won't be very many people there. And like Kelly said, we were so impressed with how they handled it. The shuttles only let certain people in, and the buses weren't really running, and the weather was
stupendous,
perfect every single day. So it was really a really good trip.
We're really glad we went. So we'll have this information in the show notes so you can see it again, so you can review the furniture styles, the finishes and colors and the fabrics that we talked about, and keep an eye out for them that, coming up in the next couple months, because this is what you're going to see, people.
Yep.
All right. I know you want to do the funny quote because yours is hilarious this time.
Yes. And so just as a side note, we are recording this as of the election has still not been determined who the winner is. So my good friend Linda Holt had posted this on Facebook this morning, and I said, I totally am stealing this. Kelly already had a funny quote,
I'll save it.
She can save it. But this trumped it. No.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. All right, here's the quote. All right, hold on. Let me find it here. With all this stress eating, I may reach 270 before either candidate. Whoever came up with it. Well, wait, it says at Trish Suhr, S-U-H-R. I have to go look her up because she sounds funny.
My husband muted me yesterday when we were talking on the phone. I said, "What drive-thru are you at?" And he was like, "Oh my God, I'm at McDonald's." I'm like, yeah, we got a quote for you, buddy. Okay, here's a serious quote. Because this is us right now, people. And this is from Instagram, where you can always find the best quotes ever. Success is never owned, it is rented. And the rent is due every day. Don't you? That is us. Mm-hmm. We are so blessed to be slammed like never before.
Yeah.
And every morning, my husband is on Zoom calls all day long, rolling his eyes, and just wants to get out. And I leave every morning early and come home late because we're slammed.
Yeah.
New construction, renovations, regular designs, installs.
Yeah.
It's
and
photo shoots.
Yeah. We're working on a bunch of fun projects right now too. I went to the tile store this morning, which, same thing, appointment only, masks, everything's clean. I feel really comfortable being there. And we're working with a couple of clients that are out there.
Yes.
Like crazy stuff. And so I was pulling some tiles, and the girl came to help me to order samples, whatever. And she's like, wow, this is a fun project. They're just used to kind of maybe the builders coming in there and picking, the same old. But this is, emerald green lava tile and some just cool stuff.
Pink and black and crazy wallpaper. And so we're excited. So the rent is due every day, Joanne.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. We hope that you are all safe and being kind to your neighbors and trying to stay not so stressed out during this election time. And we appreciate you listening to our podcast and taking your mind away from things and having a laugh with us.
Yes. So be on the lookout for some of these things that we've talked about because they're coming out.
Yeah.
And they're cool.
All right. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye.
Join Joanne and Kelly weekly for a lively conversation about trends, travels to industry events, current design projects, the good, the bad, and the ugly, do's and don'ts, product recommendations, and more. Be sure to follow the fun on Facebook. They're on Instagram at Kandrak Cole, and of course, you've got to visit them online at kandrak-cole.com for more information.